Cat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Simon Fell.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for joining late. I've just come from a bill committee. I'd just like to ask a few questions around culture in the police and recruitment and the impact that culture's at the moment having on that. So, first question is around the drop in public confidence we've seen in policing over recent months. What's your assessment of the impact that will have on recruitment going forward?
Well, the drop in public confidence over recent months, you're referring to the murder of Sarah Everard. Yes, we have said that public confidence has taken a blow. The Commissioner of the Met has said this has been a very severe blow. I think that is predominantly because of the entirely justified alarm and shock that people all over the country have had in relation to the evil that Cousins perpetrated. Because it is very, very hard to think of another instance where a serving police officer has misused his or her power to abduct, rape and murder someone. I think that confidence will be and must be restored. I think that there are a number of inquiries in relation to how that can and should happen. We in the Inspectorate have been commissioned by the Home Secretary under Section 54 of the Police Act 1996 to carry out an inspection with an interim report by the end of the year and a final report in the spring to assess a number of aspects of what went wrong in that case, including the quality of vetting and the competence and diligence of Directorates of Professional Standards and Anti-Corruption Units, which I expect we'll come on to. I think that so that's one report. There's going to be an inquiry in public. We don't yet know who's going to lead it. Then the Met are doing their own inquiry. The IOPC are looking at exactly what went wrong in the Cousins case, and so on. I think that as long as those various inquiries and investigations take place in an orderly and coherent way, and I'm sure we're all determined that they should, then that will do a lot to improve public confidence in the police. But yes, of course it has taken a severe knock.
Thank you. And you criticised this summer the police vetting processes, and we have a political direction to recruit more officers at the moment, and I think you talked about the fact this recruitment drive might actually lead to more unsuitable people going into the force. I just wonder if you could speak a bit more about that and get into the detail of how real you think that risk is and what processes they need to strengthen to mitigate against that.
The Police Uplift Programme, the 20,000 extra officers, is going great guns. They are, I think, ahead by some margin of their target of 6,000-7,000 a year. But going that fast carries risk. In my last State of Policing report, which we published in July this year, if I may be permitted to read just a couple of paragraphs of that, because I think they are relevant.
Could you draw our attention to them or summarise them rather than read out the whole paragraph, if that's all right?
They're on pages 35 and 36. They're very short, but my principal point was that if you're going that fast in recruitment, there is a danger that the wrong people will get in. Organised crime groups, for example, do plan to infiltrate the police, to get people, clean skins, into the police and leave them there until they are in a position to service the needs of the organised crime group, to leak information in relation to witnesses and evidence, to destroy or dispose of or conceal evidence, to do all the other things that they might do. And of course, some of them may aspire to higher and higher ranks. So that's an importance. The other concern I've made in relation to this is that when police officers are going through their probationary period, when they're training, when they're probationers, if they are displaying attitudes or preferences which are incompatible with the office of constable, the police need to be much more assiduous in recognising that and throwing them out, getting rid of them, because otherwise if they don't, they're storing up what could be a 20, 30-year problem. What kind of attitudes? A fondness for violence, a fondness for the exercise of power over your fellow citizens. Remember the unique powers of the police. Misogyny, racism, homophobia, all the other things. A lack of maturity and judgment, and a preference for things that are incompatible in the way that I've mentioned. Regulation 13 of the relevant rules enables the police force in question to get rid of people like that. And they are not, I fear, good enough at doing that. In too many respects, particularly with pressure on recruitment, they may be tempted to say, we'll knock those rough edges off him or her, because otherwise, he looks like he's going to be a good police officer. That's not a good idea, especially when so many people want to join the police, so many people are well qualified to join the police. So they shouldn't be doing that. The other point that I was making was about the Directorates of Professional Standards, the internal anti-corruption units of the police. They are not, in all cases, well-resourced with some of the best detectives. Now, it's a natural instinct of the Chief Constable to want to put his very best detectives, his or her best detectives, on rape squads and murder squads, etc. But nevertheless, when there is a cancerous growth within the force of a fondness for violence or the other characteristics that I mentioned, that needs to be recognised and dealt with as efficiently as anything. Because if that person, whoever it is, or group of people are allowed to remain in the force, they are going to make things much, much worse. And they're also potentially going to adversely affect the culture of the force in question. So I made remarks in relation to the wrong people getting in, that being recognised and them not being put out, and the competence, diligence, and industry of Directorates of Professional Standards. Vetting is of enormous importance, and it is not done as well as it should be. We, as part of our PEO program, that stands for Police Efficiency, Effectiveness and Legitimacy, did a report in 2018-19, and we found that too many forces had too many people working in them who did not have the correct vetting. 3 forces had excessive levels of inadequately or unvetted staff. West Midlands Police, a figure of either inadequately vetted or unvetted staff was 52%. Thames Valley Police was 42%, and the Met was 37%. 1 officer in 3. Now, each force was given what we call a cause of concern, which is our most severe finding, and a recommendation to fix things. And we have been back. We have found significant improvements in relation to those things. And that was very alarming. So in West Midlands Police, it was 5,500 people. In Thames Valley Police, it was 3,350. In the Met, it was 14,616 people, either inadequately vetted or not vetted at all. That was in 2018-19. Now, I believe, but I'm not sure, that Cousins joined the police in that period.
You have updated figures on that?
No, because what we are doing, and we've been commissioned by the Home Secretary to do this, but we would have done it anyway, is we are now going back and looking at vetting standards now. That's the new Section 54 commission that we've had from the Home Secretary. And we are carrying that out with, we will report in the early part of 2022 on that.